This is the Variety Sports Network, created for the fans, by the fans. Now to your host of tonight's show.
And welcome to Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast, episode 152, a rare part 2. Thank you, PG&E, for creating that opportunity for us here in Cloverdale, California, with my power going out Sunday morning at 8 a.m. for 2 hours, Casey. Well, we were talking for it, but I said, you know what? We got to make it happen. Tyler can jump on Monday night. We're going to do this instead of TMB. And then guess what? Casey, my brother, can jump on here as well on a Monday night, on a doubleheader Monday night, where Nick Chubb already goes down for me in my fantasy league, which is a tough blow. And obviously Nick Chubb's a really good running back as well, so you hate to see that. But Fatboy FadeAway Sports here with you, episode 152, part 2. Tyler McGurk, how you doing?
I'm doing freaking great. We got the original 3 back and at it. The Niners
Big
are 2-0. We got 2 games on Monday Night Football. I'm excited to be here. 2-0.
Casey, you didn't even want to play in our basketball league, though, because you said it wasn't 35 and up. Are you kidding me with that? Casey had to play by – Casey said he played yesterday. He played with 5 people. That was impressive yesterday. Are you fatigued? Are you feeling
Where were you?
I was doing co-ed softball.
That's why I know. I was like, man, someone's gone and they're like supposed to be on your team and they're like orchestrated the whole thing and we're warming up drills. You're like, yo, where's Kyle? Where's Darren? Blah, blah.
Well, I told you I wasn't going to be there.
Well, no, that's the thing where like Darren must be getting old. He chose softball over basketball. I was like, man, how lazy can a man be? I was like softball co-ed over basketball with your boys when you know you're hanging them with 5 and your brother's sick. That's cold.
This was
that was cold. I was like, and then
were you guys playing the BV Ballers? Darren wanted to back out of the toughest matchup of the year.
So Tyler, this is the best part of the story. So Darren says he shows up with 10 minutes left in the second half.
8 minutes.
And none of us see him till 2.5, and he claims stories. So.
I don't feel guilty about subbing in at that point. I feel like I can't sub in with 2.5 minutes left.
5 guys that have been playing their ass up for 32 minutes. We'll take a sub even.
Now, can we throw a little shade on Kyle McGurk, who said he wasn't going to be there, which was going to give me a little bit of a bailout with that. I showed up with 8 minutes left. He did not show up. I thought he was a Raiders fan. Apparently, he's a Niners fan. He had to miss the game for that. What's going on? Ian, appreciate you tuning in here. Yep, Ian, what's good? What's going on? One of our fellow Warriors fans there, Titans fan as well. Congratulations on your win this week against the Chargers. Our Raiders did not get it. Me and Casey this week against the Bills. Apparently, it was not even close to a win. It was over what, Casey, probably a week into the game. It was like, what, 1 quarter into the game. The front 7 was absolutely getting dominated. What's up, my man? Dirty Fanatics United. Thank you for
that man knows what 2-0 feels like.
Yes, he does. 2-0. That's really what's up. Yeah, they both got victory Sundays, along with you on a victory Sunday where me and Casey are feeling a 38-10. In case that felt like a 55-0 loss. It was terrible. That was after that first touchdown and then Jimmy G's interception. That Raiders game was good night. Good night. We had no chance of that one.
That Jimmy G turnover was just the turning point. I mean, one turnover sucked, but then you give it within like the 30 on the opposing. It's tough, dude. And then the Raiders, as I was watching the game with Pops, and we've been Raider fans forever, going to the games.
Oh, yeah.
Dad's like, the one thing about the last 20 years, they have not had one good defense. They're so slow. And then you watch the Niners, you're like, man, these guys are really fast. Like Fred Warner's just like making every tackle. I'm just like, man, like 2 interceptions, Lenore. I'm like, why can't we do this? I'm like, we've had like 20 first-round draft picks in the top 10. It feels like it's very frustrating. It's like, how do we miss this bad, or is the coaching this horrible on defense? It's got to be.
Well, let's start with you. Why did you draft Tyree Higbee over Jalen Carter? What the hell are you guys thinking?
Well, because I think the Ruggs thing scared him off.
That's baloney. Scared money doesn't make money.
I don't know. Wilson they just think they got no pressure on the line is all. Falcons 2-0 here. My guy Dirty for that. Bijan, that one run even alone against the Packers there was just disgusting. He had. Did you guys? Hopefully you both saw that run he had. Well, that was just. And that's just nasty. Like that was like 3 jump cuts in a matter of like 1.2 seconds. I was like, my God, this man.
To me, it's just LaDainian Tomlinson 2.0. Like he's the same guy, like same size, same quickness. Same type of cuts. Like you see him move, and he moves differently. He's just
That's the
healthy.
He
He's
has
gonna
the
be a
R2
stud
down.
for 5 years as long as he stays.
I'm glad.
At least 5.
I'm glad you guys brought this up because I we're football nerds, sports nerds, whatever. Plays people don't remember unless you watch sports on the daily. And they're showing like some sick runs, and I was just like, if you've never seen the Steve Young run against the Vikings, like that is one of the best runs. Like, and then prior to they
the
had
call by I forgot his name.
Lon
The call
Simmons.
is great.
Lon
Lon Simmons is great also. Carry on, Casey.
then the Michael Vick run against the Vikings in overtime. And I'm just like, oh man, these are trendsetters. And you see all these like athletic quarterbacks, and I'm just like, people kind of forget, these runs that like these quarterbacks had prior to. Like, it wasn't just like a slow age. Like, those runs are phenomenal. Like,
dude, that Michael Vick one was a game changer in our generation. That one was like, especially when you have the guys crash into each other. Like it kind of even made it more epic. And then like just the way like he like sprint and like he was so unique. His performance to me, honestly, when I saw him play Virginia Tech, Florida State, it's still by far the one college game that stands out of all the others. I don't know what. Maybe it was because the scenario just watch the whole game. I don't know what it was, but I've watched many games. Obviously, USC Texas one stands out there too, but his performance just like, wow, this guy is like really unique. Like this guy's a freak in some ways.
Yeah. He changed the game of Madden because remember you just could call all streaks and all the corners would run. You field like crazy.
Do all streaks anymore. That was for sure.
Yeah.
You remember
about Michael Vick.
We banned taking Michael Vick, right?
We definitely banned it because it was unfair. You could just run around behind the line of scrimmage. But the thing about Michael Vick, you brought up that Florida State. He was the first guy where I was like, man, he's on fast forward compared to everybody else. Like he's so fast. And then that run against the Vikings, you bring up, that had to set up the Michael Vick experience for Nike. That commercial, like, you know what I'm talking about? One of the best NFL commercials ever. But that, like, you just get to sit in a roller coaster and be Michael Vick. Like, that run against the Vikings in overtime, the walk-off.
And then beating the Packers, though, that to me, that sealed it, though. Like, for like, oh, this guy's more than just like, your average quarterback. And he also win like in Lambeau, or like I think they had like some undefeated streak.
They never lost in Lambeau until then.
Yeah, and it was snowing, right? There was snow in the air. That was the mystique back then in that regard. Speaking of snow, go ahead, Jason.
The run Michael Vick had though was in the Minnesota Dome.
No.
Yeah,
that was in the Dome. Yeah, and that was get him on AstroTurf back then too. My goodness, if you got him in the open. And then when he went to Philly, I definitely benefited from that. Hey, snow area. If we go, America's team does it again. Colorado beats Colorado State. Tyler, I know you've been wanting to talk about this a little bit with it. We're trying to get to it Sunday. I had Jimmy and Nico on yesterday on Talking the Gridiron. We talked about it for 10 minutes at the end, and I was like, "There's no other way this could be the biggest event in the history of Colorado." They said it was. It felt like it was watching. I mean, nobody stays up till 2:30 on the Eastern time to watch a game between Colorado State and Colorado, unless Deion Sanders is involved. He's already won for that program. I mean, honestly, I said this when he got hired there in Colorado. I have no idea. I have no idea why like a big school did not hire him. Like he is a recruiting machine. He's a phenomenal motivator, and he's one of the best defensive players to ever play football. He probably knows what he's doing a little bit. And he continues to win. Like, what did you make of that game? Like, and all the drama with like the calls. We'll get into that maybe hopefully here in a little bit. But Tyler, your thoughts on it?
Just one of the best week 3 games I've ever seen in college football. Like, just the hype around it, everything that was brought to the table, a rivalry game. Jay Norvell or whatever, a guy you would never know who he was until he just mentioned Deion Sanders, because that's who Deion Sanders is. He's just polarizing. And the game lived up to everything that you'd hope for. Like, nobody stays up, like you said, and watches Colorado State, like, especially on, like, the East Coast side. You see tweets from, like, Memphis, because I get a lot of Memphis tweets. I always have. I always will. You see tweets on Deion. It's like, this guy's changing college football for better or worse. I have some issues with some of the things Deion said, some of the things I think is a little childish. But it's good for college football. I love that what he's doing, because it is good for college football. It brings eyes to college football. It makes the West Coast right now, even though they're a little inland, but makes it matter. Like the Pac-12 has never been more relevant since USC lost Pete Carroll, and the game was spectacular. Like, and what Jay Norvell, the guy from Colorado State, brought to the table. Like,
What a name.
Like what he brought to the table was just as riveting. Like this guy starts talking shit, and his team comes out and says, "We're not getting bullied. We're gonna."
What did you think of the cheap shots? We're the
17-point underdogs, and we're gonna come out and bully them. Yeah, they took cheap shots, but they said we're not gonna let them just run us over. We're gonna make our presence felt, and they did. Was for better or worse, they ended up losing the game because of stupid penalties, and it came back to haunt them. But I don't think they're in the game if they don't take this approach of being like, we have to be more physical. We have to take some questionable shots. The one on Travis Hunter was terrible. That should go without saying. I don't like that was a terrible shot. The guy should be ejected.
It's Raiders
but
football. Right?
Just a great football game. It was great for college football. Deion is great for college football. I do have an issue with Deion for certain things. After the game, like, he has
you have an issue with the sunglasses.
My girlfriend or my fiance, don't let me. Hopefully she's not listening. My fiance did, but like Deion had a quote after the game where he was like, there was one point in the game where I said we can't let this dude win. Talking about Jay Norvell, this press conference is going to be unbearable. Like, I don't understand how you're worried more about a press conference than like what it does for like your program or for what it does for. It's just like that's the side of Deion I don't enjoy, but everything else, he's great. He's unbelievable. He's great for college football, and he'll be at Florida State within 3 years.
Casey, did you see? What do you think of the QB? What do you think of his son as the QB? You think he's a legit NFL prospect too?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
98 drive, cool, calm, collective. I mean,
I don't know why they didn't go for it.
Hey, there's a couple things, but I just want to talk about, his son. Man, he's a hell of a ball player, bro. Like, coming up clutch like that, his mobility is, God, he got an arm. He's accurate, too. He drops that thing in the bucket. He's got a hell of a playmaker, like Tyler said, and that was massive cheap shot. I watched that a couple times just to make sure what I saw. But, man, to step up like that, though, you're playing for your pops, too, your dad, like, you're not just representing Colorado and trying to, like, hey, this guy kind of not kind of, but he pretty much tried to disrespect Deion Sanders in the way he approaches how he talks to young men. And he's like, oh, he's been my father, like, the whole time. I guarantee he doesn't wear sunglasses around the house all the time. So, he's got to have some, like, type of respect for his kids, his family.
That'd be pretty crazy if he did.
The shower. Maybe he was in his Florida State days. I wouldn't doubt that. But, I'm just saying, he's grown now. I mean, Hall of Fame player. Very successful at Jackson State. And he started out, like, at Pee-wees, coaching really young. So, I mean, just the love for the game is, like, what I think he brings, and the passion and being a part of so many great teams and coaches. And on the flip side, he played defensive back at the highest level. His son's playing quarterback. I guarantee you he's given knowledge on both sides. So, but then to speak about the game.
And when you have The Rock on your sideline, Casey, that's a way to get recruits after he comes back Friday. The Rock has finally come back to Denver. Shout out to the other sports show if you're listening. My guy, sorry, Casey, I'll get back to you. I cannot get your comments on Twitter. I have not figured it out yet. I promise you I will get to it. But I appreciate your support there. I know he's retweeted our stuff here. They do a great job. The other sports show, they do a lot of MMA stuff and stuff like that. Case, back to you though on the Colorado thing there.
Yeah, I was going to say Colorado State. I think they kind of pushed out though, like you said, like Tyler was saying, being a bully. Man, you got 4th and inches or 4th and 1. You got to go for that, slam the game home. Like, and then you got overtime. All right, they're probably going to keep scoring. Go for the 2-point conversion.
Yep.
Touchdown. Those were my two critiques of, like, when you said bully, you want to play bully ball, Dave, and, man up, sack up, and go for it.
Go for the win.
Yeah. I'm with you on both those calls. I feel the same way.
How about the punt,
though? But we don't even know who this guy is without Deion Sanders. Like, that's my point.
That's your biggest point with it. So Colorado, are they on the map forever? Some people are like, they're on the map forever. I'm like, they're not on the map forever. Once Deion leaves, they're not on the map.
They're gone. They're done. Deion's using Colorado more than Colorado's using Deion. Like, they'll be financially successful as long as he's there. But once he leaves that whole program, they better hire a great coach.
You
Because every recruit is going to go with him, just like they did at Jackson State. Like, it's not like this. It's not the same game that they were playing 10 years ago.
Yeah, maybe Colorado hires enough alumni, with Chauncey Billups as the basketball coach.
The fact that they're getting all those celebrities, like, I love how The Rock's like right there in the background when Deion's like interviewing his mom at the mic. Like, somebody I saw a tweet like, what's the thing that your wrestler fan that is your guy Roman Reigns is a part of, like his family thing, or they're called something like that. They're like, he's sitting back there like he's part of the family or something like that. Like the way The Rock was standing behind Deion Sanders in the interview. The late hits to me were interesting. Like, I think it's just because I'm kind of I maybe I'm a jerk. I think I always say that. I think that I'm about myself. I just feel like the late hit on her was definitely late, definitely illegal on every sense of the way. And then but the one at the end on Sanders, did you see the one where got ejected? I was like, man, every quarterback from like 1970 to 2000 is like, use SOBs. That they always got drilled like that. Like the way the announcers were talking, like, I'm not saying it wasn't a hard hit. I'm just saying, to me, that always puts in perspective all these QB sacks when you see stuff like that. Do you guys ever think like that?
Oh yeah, it brings up like Harry Carson hitting Joe Montana in the back. Just an absolute blindside shot that just wouldn't be allowed today, even though it should be. Like, it's just a good hit. The one on Dion, that's a penalty. He drove him into the ground with his helmet near his ear. Like,
but I'm saying that wasn't illegal then. I'm just saying,
you're right.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it was a dirty play, but some people said that it made Colorado State undisciplined. It obviously came back to bite them.
Definitely undisciplined.
I definitely felt like those calls weren't the end of the game, but it was more like the decision not to go for it. And when you were up, I mean, my gosh, 2 minutes left with 2:02 left, or fourth and 1 yard. Go, like Casey said, you called out the man. Have a go, right? I mean, like that's when you're already up 8 anyways. They're going to tie the game. Maybe you'll get the ball back with even more time left. That's Madden thinking right there, people. Come on, you think like that. And this is college, so you score a little bit. So I'm with Casey on that one. You got to go for it a little bit. Do you think Deion, though, just put him a better? Is it let's say he stays for the next 4 years. Are they now better than Alabama? Are they better than that because of his recruiting ability?
Is Saban staying at Alabama for 4 years?
Yes.
Then no. No, Saban's getting, because it's just a more.
They look better than Alabama right now.
Really, if they played, they'd get killed.
They played USF, and they won 17-3 last week. Alabama.
It's one game. If Alabama played Colorado, I think not killed. Killed's it over because Shedeur Sanders is the real deal, and the offense should be fine. But the D line just would get punished.
Casey Deion brings all the wrestlers from 1990. The Stone Cold's on the sideline. My God, with they're performing the acts on the sideline.
We are the power. We will the power. The Rock's performing at halftime with the
just overwhelming Alabama. I don't know. I think it's kind of a funny debate.
Deion sticks with Colorado State, or Colorado. Excuse me.
How dare you?
If you give him 4 years, though.
We almost lost to Colorado State. Let's not get out of control.
Give him 4 years, and what I heard when he had the interview, I think it was ESPN, I believe, he was saying just give us about 5 or 7 more dogs. Like another recruiting or 2 classes, and maybe we're gonna be right there with it. So, I mean, how can we go? Everywhere he's gone so far, he's been successful in his life playing football. Coaching.
I think they'll be good. I think there's levels. I think you have to go to a top Florida State or Florida or one of those power. I don't think Colorado's a lucrative enough recruiting area. I think they could be very good. I think they'd own the Big 12. I think they'd be the best team in the Big 12 in 4 years.
To your point,
but I don't think they're winning as they're going to be the best team in college football and once he gets to Florida State where he has all those recruits in that area. I think they'll be unbelievable. I think he'll pass Alabama.
See, to your point, though, Pete Carroll, USC was debacle. I know it's USC, but
that's USC in Southern California. They recruits.
But that's
Southern California produces a ton of college talent.
Deion Sanders, we didn't talk to Pete Carroll, the player. Deion's still pretty well-known name. You know what I mean? how cool would it be? Like, oh, my coach is Deion Sanders. You know, your dad grew up watching him. Oh, son, if you want to learn football, because your dad's probably remotely close to Deion, or at least watched a fair amount of him, you get to meet him. I mean, Deion seems like a pretty persuasive person where he, lays it on you pretty thick, and he doesn't BS either. You can tell.
I disagree with that statement that he doesn't BS. I think he's a bullshit artist in a lot of ways. But I think he's a great coach. I think he knows how to like lay it on thick when he needs to. I think he knows how to get on someone when he needs to, like great coaches do. But I think USC is USC since 1970 or 50s. Like it's a different ballgame.
What do you make?
In my opinion, I'm not saying he's not a great coach. I think Deion is unbelievable, and I think he'll be very successful as well.
What do you make of the Pac-12 being kind of dominant now in their last year? Random.
It sucks. It's great.
Is the most you've been into college football? It's the most I've been into college football in a while. I don't know what it is, but I definitely am into it a little bit more than I usually am.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I guess since Pat White,
not just the Colorado
15 years ago.
Cal's a little better. They played Auburn at least tough.
They suck.
Hey, they beat Utah State.
They're better than Stanford, who lost to Sac State. That's good.
That was a big win for Sac State. That was a big win, actually. Can you believe Stanford though losing to Sac State? That does seem pretty sad. No,
no,
that's pathetic.
Well, you didn't act like it was pathetic. You were like,
yes, I did. I just said it's embarrassing. I brought it up as embarrassing. What do you mean? That's the whole reason we're talking about it. I said they're not as bad as Stanford for losing to Sac State.
Well, I didn't feel the emotion there. I didn't feel the suckiness. I didn't feel like that. I wanted to hear more about how bad they were. I mean, this is somebody that Aaron. You had Andrew Luck, and you had Christian McCaffrey, and you had Kirby Gerhardt on this. You can't win a game against Sacramento State, where our sisters graduated college. Unbelievable.
Is David Shaw still there?
No, he's not there anymore.
He's just not coaching?
I thought he retired, or they fired him. I thought Jim
he was like the most top prospect in the whole NFL, and now he's just not coaching. He doesn't have a job.
No,
that guy.
He retired. I'll look it up right now. See if we coach there.
He really choked it away. That's.
But, I mean, at least Cal plays. I mean, was it Troy Taylor? Is that his name? Yeah, Coach Troy Taylor. No,
Cal sucks. They're not winning any. They'll win 2 games. Cool.
They won Sac State football. Who knew? Hey, what do you think about Rodgers going down with an injury? Is that like 4 plays in? Like, does that remind you of anything ever? Is that like that? Is that I can't even think. I was trying to think of like if any other pro athlete went down like that early in the season.
Tom Brady against the Chiefs. I think
was that week 1?
Bernard Paul. It was week 1 after the Super Bowl win, 2002.
What was the?
No, it wasn't 2002. It was 2004.
They had one prior to though, and Castle came in and tried to get them, but yeah,
they won 10 games. I mean, he brought it up already. It kind of reminds me of Michael Vick when he went down in preseason after all the marketing that went into like, oh, he's the next big thing, and then
that was preseason
against the Ravens. I mean, it's still an NFL season.
I want week 1, buddy. What was the guy at NBA? The guy played. He just like signed with the Celtics.
Gordon Hayward.
Yeah, he got that.
Well, that was one I was thinking for football was Trent Green.
That was preseason
too.
Well. Get your head in the game. Get
the quarterback. Last game in the preseason.
No,
I agree with you, Kay. I got Michael Vick, and I got that doesn't count.
That does not count. Week 1.
Rules on like what the actual stipulations of the.
I was just trying to think about week 1 if anybody had gone down like that, like when to start the season.
Vinny Testicles.
I know. He reminded me that my guy in Memphis. He reminded me. He's like, this is definitely. I felt bad for him. He was all excited for the Jets there, ready to go. Tweety, I've never been more excited leading up to it, and then I didn't even watch it live. I literally was like 4 minutes from that point, like not very far behind the game, and I'm like, what? I gotta watch the Mom Man. I was like, what's going on here? I was like, I gotta watch.
What'd you call him, the Mom Man?
The Mom Man.
You know, that's kind of messed up is if you've ever watched a team and you got a quarterback, you're like, you never want anything bad to happen. You're like, man, if he gets injured, it might not be a bad thing. Like if the next guy comes in, you're like, just give him a chance. Like the backup, they always get the cheer, and then you're like, this guy's worse than the guy we had. Like bring him back in. It's like, all right.
What did you get?
I think Jimmy G was that in San Francisco. We saw Trey Lance. I think he's a perfect. We saw him for 2 days. I think bring back Jimmy. And luckily, well, I'm not going to say luckily. That's rude. But
should we talk?
Jimmy G was a better quarterback than Trey Lance.
Speaking of Jimmy, I got to shout out my guy Jimmy from Talking the Gridiron. He hung in there tough last night. He had to deal with a liquid courage Brian Johnson and a trivia Terrell last night. He hung in there tough on Talking the Gridiron. So Jimmy, nice job there. He is with it. His Bengals 0-2, so he had no room to talk, and you could feel it. It was my Raiders 101. But you're 2-0. I feel like Stafford was back a little bit watching the game. Was that not true, or did it feel like he looked a hell of a lot better to me?
He looked the first half. I was like, we can't stop this guy. The first, I was like, this is he's the same quarterback. They don't need Cooper Kupp. They have some Hawaiian guy who is going to catch 20 balls every game. Ridiculous. And then I was like, why are we playing this 10-yard off coverage where everything is an easy completion? It's checked down for 8 yards, 2 yards falling forward. I was all right. Let's go, man. We went man in the second half. We figured it out. But Stafford's arm was there, but they didn't really challenge the Niners down the field at all. And I think that was the Niners game plan, not to get beat down the field, which was frustrating in the first half because I was like, we're not stopping this team. This is going to be a long game if we keep playing this shell defense.
Now, does this game make you feel like Brian last night was 2-0, baby, 2-0? That's all he was saying.
No, I didn't feel the same way.
2-0. I was like, okay, speak English. Let me hear what you're saying on the show here. What do you got for it? What do you actually feel good about this win, or we got other guys stepping up? I mean, some of these guys I never heard of. What was it? Oliver? He ended up.
Isaiah Oliver played for the Falcons for 5 years. I heard about an interview today. He said until he won a game last week in week 1 with the Falcons, he never won a week 1 game. I was like, ouch. That's so he never experienced being over 500 to start the season there. So that's the thing with me and Casey are saying with the Raiders and the Niners. There's always this difference. You guys draft speed. You evaluate speed. You evaluate guys that could hit. You evaluate guys. We don't have any of those players and you could give us any finger you want, but you have Bosa and Warner. We have never had a Hall of Famer at those positions. That's literally our lifetime. Oh, in your lifetime. No.
Name one.
That's what your whole draft was based on, was speed. My whole life growing up was, let's take the guy with the 40 that was in the 4.2s, the 4.3s.
Darius Hayward-Bay.
Yeah, but they say you don't have speed.
And Tyler is
you didn't have talent. I agree with that.
Raiders their draft picks were based on the 40s, but they were the wrong 40s.
That 40-yard dash meant more than ever to Al, right, Case? That 40-yard dash was everything.
Oh man, oh God! But me and Dad talking about, but it's just some of the draft picks, when you miss that bad, you're going to set yourself back 15, 20 years what they did. Jamarcus Russell, Robert Gallery.
Easily.
I mean, those are
15, 20 years.
Well, that's what we're set back.
Well, because you have terrible drafting. You have terrible GM. You guys don't know what you're doing.
Jets are the same way. That's why it's Aaron Rodgers comes and saying, you're like, God, this is our luck. We have a great defense. All you need is a quarterback. Son of a the first play, you're just the whole season's over.
You had the Mark Sanchez years in New York. It went to 3 NFC championship games, AFC championship games.
Yeah, but they had good defensive players. The Raiders don't have.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying they're different franchises. You said they were the same.
Well, they're
not the same.
I agree. The Raiders suck. You don't.
I don't even know what other franchise would compare to the Raiders. The Bengals have even surpassed them a little bit.
Is that? Yeah, absolutely they have.
I mean, they lost to in the play. I don't know which franchise would be worse. Maybe
we got to go from 2000 forward if we're going to talk.
Yeah, from the point they lost the Super Bowl to the Bucs.
Yeah.
Has there been a worse franchise in the NFL?
Not even close.
It's pathetic.
It's not close.
No.
The hard part is when you're an A's fan.
That's the worst.
Casey, I saw this great video of Game 3 of the Tigers when the A's should have beat the Tigers in Game 4. Balfour. Do you remember that with that Balfour and Victor Martinez? He throws a fastball to Victor and he fouls it off, and they stare at each other, and it's like hot mic'd, unlike anything else. And they're just like, you hear Balfour just say, "What are you?" Beep 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 beep. Look at that, and Victor's like, "Beep beep beep," like right there on it. And they go, the A's win that game, and then they somehow lose the next game. I still remember this day. The next game they lost, Game 4 in Detroit. They were up 3-0. Then they were up 5-3.
Victor hit a big home run?
Coco Chris drops the ball in center field. I was like, no! And Hana goes, "Are you scared, Derek? You scared, Derek?" Like, because he was like half a year old. I was like, I don't care. I was like, he dropped the ball. We should have been out of the inning. Now we're going to lose this series. And sure enough, we ended up losing the series there. So.
It's like a fan, like the Raiders, you're just like, like if it's 21-20 and they're like, go 80 yards with like 30 seconds, you're like, something dumb is going to happen. And sometimes you blame it on the and it's like, oh, they got 25 yards to start the possession. All right, we can, manage. Then they get another 18, and you're like, all right, all they need is a little bit more for a field goal. And you're like, oh, well, they got to score a touchdown or something. You're like, throws a bomb. Oh, it's incomplete. Personal foul.
No shock.
Like, oh, my God. End zone trick. Pass interference. They run in from the one. They win the game. You're just like, well, you can't expect anything less.
All right, question of the week here based on that here. Who do you guys – I asked it last time talking to the grid, and who's your all-time running back if you're picking one? Ooh. Jimmy got killed also from Terrell for saying Steven Jackson is one of his favorites, not the best. I think Steven Jackson is one of the if like a favorite running back, I'm not going to kill you on that one.
No,
he was a beat for a few years for a while there, and he ran tough, so I'm not going to kill you. But best all time – I didn't go that. I'm not going to go there. He didn't go with that either. But who are you going with, Casey, with best all-time running back? You got to pick one.
Oh, man. That's like me picking Ricky Henderson.
Barry Sanders?
I do, but, man, I'd probably say
Adrian Peterson?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Terrell would have killed you last night. He would have killed you last night.
Casey needs to go on a podcast with Terrell.
Oh, Terrell would try to kill Casey. Casey would be going right back out of that way.
Miles, but Adrian Peterson probably ran more than me and him are closer together.
I don't disagree.
I'm not upset about Adrian Peterson.
I think Terrell is a little. I'm not sure. I mean, I think I look at the stats a little. He picked Barry Sanders. Obviously, when you go Barry, nobody's going to complain with that. But I think AP could be right there with it. He got some great games.
Anytime your name is All Day, come on now. Like, all day, man. That's all you got to do is just run it. I mean, you watch those clips.
I think they were thinking off the field.
Oh, and watch Oklahoma, too. Like,
that's Oklahoma. Go get that switch. That's what they said. Who's getting the switch?
They were a little – I thought they were being a little disrespectful to the AP in that regard. But Jimmy –
how good was, I guess? I don't know.
What do you got, T?
I think you guys – I think – from like what I saw, it's LaDainian Tomlinson. He was a guaranteed touchdown every game, minimum. It felt like anyway in his prime. I think there's better running backs probably like if you look at career, but the Walter Payton, the Barry Sanders, the Emmett Smith. Like I think Emmett Smith's severely underrated now because people just say, "Oh, he played on these loaded teams." Like just look at the name, look at his numbers. He's freaking unbelievable. And when Emmett Smith didn't play, he held out for 2 games. The Cowboys went 0-2, and Jerry Jones said, I have to pay this guy. Like, that's literally what happened. So, like, he was obviously a big factor on their team and the franchise. But I think the best running back I'd seen is LaDainian Tomlinson. Because he could catch the ball, he could run the ball.
Is AP number 2?
AP number 2.
AP could catch the ball too.
Probably. No, AP couldn't catch for shit.
I always liked Corey Dillon. I know he wasn't right up there. I always liked him on the Bengals. He was
Corey Dillon was great. Especially when he went to the Patriots, clock killing Corey Dillon, he helped that franchise. He helped them win.
Kevin Falk.
AP wasn't a catcher, though. They always had like Mo Williams.
Yeah. He just had that great run.
But Adrian Peterson's one of the best pure runners ever because of how big he was and how quick he was. Like I would never hate on Adrian Peterson.
And that's why Bijan to me maybe could be different. It's like he's like, you know, maybe we have a guy now that like in the league can be like those guys. Like maybe like Henry was like that for a little bit. He's like
Adrian Peterson, not Adrian. He's like LaDainian Tomlinson.
No, that's what I'm saying. But Henry's slowing down a little bit, even though I don't know. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm wrong with that a little bit.
He literally reminds me.
This guy Barkley went down with an injury. He's out for 3 weeks. Chris, what's up, my man? Staying up late with us, 10:32. Are you hopefully watching the Monday night games? Steelers up 19-14. Saints end up holding up the win there. So, Chris,
Derek Carr 2-0. Derek, what are your thoughts? Derek Carr 2-0. How you feeling?
I don't feel good at all about that. But they're typical Derek Carr games. Don't give me this Derek Carr game.
What do you mean typical Derek Carr games?
Do you think your Niners are going to – do you expect your Niners to destroy his Giants on Thursday night, or do you think the Giants actually give you a test? I got to shout out my guy CP.
I think it'll be a little closer than people are expecting, but I think the Niners will end up winning by 10-15. I think it'll be close for like a half, though. I think Daniel Jones won't turn it over.
Hold on. What, you got to say what your favorite running back is. You just glossed over.
I said LaDainian Tomlinson. Darren?
No, Darren said two part, the best, and then your, you know.
Oh, my favorite?
Yeah.
This guy's not even in the
Garrison Hurst
all time. Darren nailed it, Garrison Hurst.
What?
I loved
Garrison. I was being sarcastic.
My favorite, the guy was unbelievable. He gets hurt, and he comes back and still is unbelievable. Like, he had 1,500-yard seasons. It's my childhood. It's what I look at, like, as a Niner fan. Oh, this guy was fun to watch. When they weren't that great, they were okay. They were good.
More than Ricky
And I think
Waters?
the Niners get to the NFC Championship game and give if he didn't get hurt against the Falcons. They would have beat those Falcons.
I'm surprised Frank Gore's not the answer. I guess that's what surprised me more. Is that
he's great. I liked him. He was fun. But I like Hurst. Hurst brings back more childhood memories.
Darren, so what about
I'm going to leave this up for the rest of the day, by the way.
No, put it down.
Let's go here.
2-0 is getting a little heavy. But
can we? No. Christian McCaffrey is one of the end up one of the best running backs.
How about Emmitt Smith, Casey?
My favorite one is Marshall Faulk.
Oh yeah, he was a beast.
He was on my list too.
Yeah, he was a beast.
Darren,
I just hated he just did it against the Niners. I'm like, F that guy.
And that offense too.
Like he was so good on the Colts.
I always thought that.
Yeah,
people don't even realize that. They just think of him as a Ram. Like they don't like. What if he stayed with Peyton Manning and had the Edgerrin James, like with Peyton Manning throwing him the ball?
Call there. That's a good call there.
But he's even better than Edgerrin James. Like if he played with Peyton Manning he was 24, I think, or 25 when he got traded to the Rams. I don't know.
That's what I was gonna say. Just for this guy Barber and Jacobs, Casey, that was a pretty good day. Tiki Barber.
Jacobs.
He was a beast though for a while. He was a tough tackle.
A quick story with Brandon Jacobs. I drafted Brandon Jacobs after his his breakout year where he probably had like 15 touchdowns and 900 yards, thinking he was going to be the bell cow back, and he just fell apart and didn't get the ball. So I have been like this negative attitude towards Brandon Jacobs. Tiki Barber was a beast. Especially how late he played. He turned his career around from the
Mr. Fumbles for a little bit at the beginning.
Yeah, never fumbling.
And then
a pop song, I think, Thunder, Lightning, or something like that.
Yeah, Lightning and Thunder. That was the. And then when they have Ron.
No, that was Ron Dane and Tiki Barber.
I don't know if they had a nickname for Jacobs and Barber. He probably helped me out if they did have one. That was a good combination. I always was a big Curtis Martin fan. I was a big.
What do we call Curtis Martin in Madden?
The Kublade Award, I believe, and then we had
well played.
And then you had that for a short term there. Priest Holmes was pretty good there for a little bit too. And a lot of people, I always hear a lot of people say Jamal Charles. Do you guys feel like we don't give him enough respect? The guy from the Chiefs.
He had 2 good years.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. I feel like that we could put Chris Johnson like that, and I don't feel like that's the same for me.
I'm with you.
You know.
Eddie George, he gets no love. Nick Flanagan, shout out. You give Eddie George a little love there.
I'll throw one back at Nick. Jamal Lewis.
That's a good call. He had that record season.
I loved Eddie George. I was a Titans fan those years until they beat them. Then I became a Bills fan with Flutie.
Bradshaw. We forgot about Bradshaw and Ward there when they had those three guys on.
Hey,
there.
CP New York. What's CP's real name? First name?
Chris.
Did Ahmad Bradshaw fumble when Navarro Bowman knocked it out of his hands in the NFC Championship game?
Oh,
give me your honest opinion. Was that a fumble? Do you remember? Let me know. I know Kyle Williams fumbled later.
Say yes. Say yes.
You'll hurt my feelings.
And dude, I feel bad if I can't remember.
So you're not worried about?
Hey, was Deuce McAllister and Reggie Bush a tandem or not?
Yeah, they were a tandem there for a little bit in New Orleans. I remember.
Was that Pierre Thomas or was that
Jerome Bettis? Jerome Bettis. He was in there for the bus. The
most nimble fat man I've ever seen.
I don't know why I always hated the bus. I think because he went to the Steelers. I think I was never a Steelers fan, so I think when he went to the bus.
I hate the Steelers with you. It's one of those franchises I've never root for.
You know who was really
Raiders,
good?
Raiders Steelers next Sunday night.
One who was good for a minute was Fred Taylor.
Oh, I like Fred.
Oh, he was a beast. I loved Fred Taylor.
That's a good call.
With MJD, that was a good combo.
Yeah, Frederick. Yeah, Maurice Jones-Drew, that was a good call. But Taylor before that, even by himself, he had some dynamic years there for a little bit. Who was the guy? I can't think of his name right now. He was good for like maybe a year or two on the Texans, maybe two, and then he like
Arian Foster.
That's who I could do. I was trying to think of it. It was like everybody thought he was going to be the next guy, and then he went into acting. There's so many running backs like that where you're just like this guy's gonna be a beast. This is the next guy right here. Then all of a sudden, no, it doesn't happen. And I'm hoping like that won't be our guy from Barkley and like those type of guys are. I don't know. I hope those guys, like those are the type of guys you think of where they have a short lifespan and hope they go that long way. So yeah, that was
well put. I appreciate. I can take that either way. Good.
Can I?
Worst Madden cover ever on a running back? Peyton Hillis.
Peyton Hillis.
Oh God. I'd rather have Larry Centers in 1990. Well,
Larry Centers
in 1997. I think Jay Novacek made a game day cover. It was that the Moose Johnson. One of those two on the Cowboys made a game day cover.
It was Moose Johnson.
Was it Moose or Jay Novacek? No,
Steve Hutchinson. Steve Hutchinson made it. No, just kidding. The Raiders left on. No, just kidding. Hey, a running back I always felt like never got enough love is Robert Smith because he retired early.
Oh, a beast.
But I thought he was a beast. Like Minnesota, I just thought. And then Tyler, I'm surprised you didn't shout him out. Thurman Thomas. You got to give Thurman.
You couldn't find his helmet in the Super
Bowl. He couldn't find it. Killed him. Bills Giants Super Bowl is a good one to watch, and I'm sure Chris does.
Sleeper too was Charlie Garner.
Charlie Garner was a good one as well.
Bay Area running back.
And what do you think should represent this podcast right now for running backs? Because we just gave them all.
We just gave a lot right there. That's part of it. That's why it's fun. Question of the week, row one, Brad. You gotta love it. Hey, as we move through the show here, we're getting close to the end here. Shohei Ohtani, Tyler, Giant.
A fat chance. I don't believe anything. Giants don't
Mike Trout,
a Giant free agent.
Mike Trout, a Giant.
Yeah, it'll be hurting in 2 weeks.
Are you guys gonna revolt as fan base now? What's going on? At the beginning of the year, I was like, okay, I can't go at him yet. I just can't go at him yet. Like, are you still in the playoff?
You're an A's fan. What are you gonna go at me for?
Well, just in terms of the sense of, I mean, come on, as an A's fan, there's nothing really for me. So like at this point, like you can rip on me, and it's like, yeah, I know, like it just is what it is. Like, but as a Giants fan, I'm just more saying in terms of you kind of believed in this, like kind of like, okay, we're not getting these free agents. We're continuing to not get them. I'm not saying specifically for you, but I'm just saying as a fan base of the Giants, at some point, if you continue to suck and you continue to not sign guys,
suck is an overreaction. They haven't.
Okay, you continue to play 500 ball.
Fair.
No, am I wrong?
I said fair.
Out on free agents.
500 ball.
I would think Giants fans would start to be a little bit more disgruntled, where maybe Farhan and Kapler both go this year.
I think they've been disgruntled. I think it's very disgruntled. But I like what I've seen from the young guys. I like what I saw from Patrick Bailey. I think he'll be a multi-time All-Star at the catcher position. Luis Mato showed like being an everyday MLB player, but they need to sign a freaking guy who brings someone to the yard. I don't have any interest in going other than seeing the stadium. Like my fiance will still be like, let's go see a Giants game. Like, why? And she'll be like, it's a good setting. I'm like, all right, let's go. I'm not going to fight you on it. I'd rather do that than most of the shit you want to do. So, like, it's just like bring somebody in. They do need to bring someone in. Do I believe they will? Not with Farhingham at the helm.
Mitch Haniger, that's the guy. You get good old Mitch right there. How about Patrick Bailey? The injury killed you guys? Was that the end of the deal for you?
No, I think it's lack of hitting. He's not. He's a 260 hitter. His defense is spectacular. He'll have some good seasons. He's just not. He's not going to carry you through months.
Casey, this is the most unwatchable A's team of all time, I believe. I don't believe there's a more unwatchable team.
I've seen 2 games this year, and I went to both of them.
And they won. Impressive.
I haven't watched the game on TV.
You should have gone to 81 of them. You'd be good.
Come on, man. Have a little heart.
But I did go to one Giants game, and they won as well. So I'm 3-0. It's a fantastic thing, though, if you're an A's fan and you want to go see your favorite player on another team. 10 rows up, first base side, it was $40 to go see the Yankees.
Not bad.
I tried to go see the A's versus the Giants with my brother, and they like jacked up the prices to $115. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm not going to Oakland this year.
It's an A's game. You're like, I gotta urinate in a toilet.
Protest too. That was part of it too. So they just jacked it all up. But yeah, I mean, every time I've gone, I've had a great time. It's just I know Esther Ruiz, and that is about it right now. And it's just they're so bad. Like it's so bad. It's just hella funny. The game I went to, the Yankees, there's like 14,000 fans, Yankees, and 18,000 for the total of the game. I'm like, well, we're on first base line for the Yankees. And this guy in the 8th inning goes, I can't believe we're going to lose to the freaking minor league A's. And I was just like, yeah, it's pretty bad, bro. And he looks, he goes, you got an A's hat? I was like, yeah, that's how bad it is. You got talking, I know.
Yeah, that's how it's happening. It's the worst team.
About my team.
It's the worst team they've ever had in my lifetime. It's as unwatchable as it gets. Tyler, real quick before you
win.
It's terrible, and it's not. And I hope they get the number 1 pick, but then they have a lottery this year, so who knows? Tyler, Dodgers have won the division 10 times out of the last 11 seasons. I mean, I know you guys have the World Series. Like, what does that mean to you? I was curious. When I saw that, I was like, it doesn't. I felt like it must matter a little bit more to you. What do you think when you hear that?
I mean, it's
because you have the World Series, so I'm just like, what do you think?
It's like the '90s Braves. Like they're the best team in baseball. Probably 7 of those years, they just can't figure it out in the playoffs. They choke a little. Choked might be an overestimate, but they lose in the playoffs. And I've enjoyed all 11 of those seasons, or 10 of the 11 seasons when they did
count the ring they have
in the playoff. And the ring they have is a little Disney World ring. It's like LeBron's Mickey Mouse ring in the bubble. It's not a real ring. It's 60 games. You look at the MVPs that season, I think who was MVP that year? It wasn't somebody very good. It is a ring. It sucked, but it's the Dodgers. I will never give the Dodgers credit unless they win 162 games.
Hey, I gotta shout this. We never get our guy C Woods tuned in because we usually wrap a little bit or you do our show Sunday morning. I gotta shout out my guy C Wood Case. He does a great job. He has a good show. Gosh, I'm gonna look it up at the moment. But I just listened to this week. He was talking about the Alabama quarterback, Monroe, and then now he got benched and now he's back. Oh, it's ball to the South. All about the South. All about the South. That's what it is. So sorry there, Seawood. I got it wrong there a little bit, but appreciate I got it right there. Hopefully I got it right there at the end. No, because I really do. I really appreciate him tuning in here. He does a good job on his show. Listen to it this week. He knows his college football down in SEC country. So for me, I always listen to his show just to get the little updates with all that stuff. And he broke down the Alabama situation. Seawood, we were talking about that Alabama situation a little bit later. I saw today, Tyler, they are going to go back to Mill Road this week in SEC action after seeing how they performed last week against USF. Probably a good decision. At least this guy can maybe he tries to run the ball a little too much, but at least he tries to do that.
It's better than what they had. Like I said, like we brought up, if Colorado played Alabama. You put the athletes on the field, Alabama's going to beat.
Yeah.
90% of the team. They'll have trouble against Georgia and
they had trouble against USF and they lost to Texas, though.
Who they have trouble against?
USF last week, and then Texas the week before. I'm not saying
Texas is a top 5 program, probably.
It's the defense for me from Bama that would be more concerning. That would be if I was actually at Bama. Like, to me, they always overreact to quarterback play there. They always there's plenty of quarterbacks at Alabama I thought were going to be bums, and they turn out to be good because they they kind of write it out. I'm like, I didn't like AJ McCarron. I thought was going to be there's a few others I didn't think they were going to be that great, and then they come in and play well. They had Hill or Hall a few years ago. He came in, they made it to the SEC championship game. I don't know. There's a few of these guys that I never think with Bama that will go with it, but we'll see. It's a Treyway. It's been nice. Yeah. Down in Bama country, it's like everything down there. Everything goes. So, Seawood, appreciate you tuning in, man. Tonight on the Fatboy FadeAway Sports. Bama fans are crazy. I do remember that guy. What's it? Paul Feinbaum or whatever it is. I don't know how you feel about him, but there was that lady I remember that called in. She did sound a little crazy. What you would call it.
What would happen if Bama played Colorado?
That's the thing. We were asking that earlier.
Yeah, I know. I just want a Bama fan's perspective.
I mean,
what would happen?
You believe obviously in Bama's line play more in their defense.
Yeah, I believe in the trenches is where it really matters in college football. Like, talent matters, but if you can't win the trenches, you're in trouble.
Well, right now, I mean, they are going to win it, but they can't. If you're not scoring more than bare minimum points, and you're turning over. I think that's where people are being a little bit nervous with them as well. And like I said, this is the most I've been interested in college football a little bit more. I'm actually watching the pregame. Case, are you actually watching more of the games as well?
No, not really. But
no.
I watch highlights.
No, that's fine.
No, it was cool though. I mean, I put my
because you used to watch the Saturday morning games. I know a little bit more. There were other.
Move in and don't get cable, but yeah.
Oh, the cable! I forgot. You don't have cable anymore. That is true.
You do find
the radio.
Local Applebee's from time to time. So, but I did watch which was ironic. I watched in. I was like, damn, I don't remember a kicker besides maybe Sebastian and maybe I forget the other's name. I was like 61-yard field goal to walk it off. I was like, man, I remember it used to be a struggle for 28. Like they'd be like, let's just.
An extra point.
That's so true.
61, 48. You're like, no way. 39, this is questionable. This is on his cusp. His longest career high is 41 yards. You're like, what the hell? So, I mean, that's the big important plays and stuff like that. But yeah, I haven't been on game yet. Usually, halfway through the year when the polls start getting real. You actually know who the top 25 is. That's when I kind of get interested. But yeah, Berkeley. I mean, come on now. Like we said, Cal sucks. Stanford, yeah.
They almost beat Auburn a couple weeks ago. They almost beat Auburn. Yeah. And Georgia was down at halftime last week. They were down at halftime to South Carolina.
Relevance Cal had was Jared Goff. Before that was Aaron Rodgers. I mean, come on now.
No,
but SEC football is great. Big 12 is really entertaining. I mean, the coaching, the carousel, seeing the drama, but man, it is cool though once you see it cranked up, especially for those championship games and prior to maybe a game or two. Fun to watch.
No, I hear you on that one. Tyler, hopefully he'll jump back on here in a minute. We got John here. He too did last night on Talking the Gridiron. If you watch Talking the Gridiron, that was liquid courage, Brian. I love that. That is a rare of Brian Johnson. That was a 2-0, baby. 2-0. That was Brian feeling his oats, going at Jimmy about his Bengals. He was nonstop. I don't even know what he said last night, but I know he had a lot to say. So that I was the host and I couldn't even keep up with the man last night. He was on absolute fire last night. You know how Johnson gets with a little liquid in there, but it was fun. It was fun having him on there with it. He was definitely out of control. Pac-12 does look legit in its last season, which me and Casey, we were saying that is pretty tough there for the Pac-12 going out like that. But I honestly thought they were going to beat Auburn there for a little bit. That was one of my things there with it. Hey, as we kind of get to the NFL, what's been your biggest storyline with it as you've watched it so far?
Biggest storyline.
How about the Chargers 0-2? They lost to the Titans. Just real quick, I know. What did you think about that? The Chargers 0-2. That's pretty crazy. They lose the Titans again. I don't know. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of weird how the NFL season starts off like that. I mean, I thought the Chargers would be rolling, kind of up and coming close to Kansas City, trying to be on that level, but Started from too. Something ain't right. Coaching, the voice ain't being heard. Herbert, I don't think he's regressing. I mean, see some of the plays he's made. He's just unbelievable. But I don't know. Some might have to change. But it's just weird though watching the Titans because our boy, Nick loves the fucking Titans, and I was just like, Ryan Tannehill still. Is this the Derek Carr situation that everyone's bitching about me with? But like, what do you get better? Like, I don't know. I mean, you got to roll with who you got. And Derrick Henry, people sleep on still. I mean, he's such a beast, dude. Such a beast.
Yeah, no, he is. He is, and he is.
But the Chargers, though, you would think they'd be better. I mean, Keenan Allen, they got playmakers. I just don't see why they aren't, what 12, 13 wins here.
They always blow games late. That's always. I mean, just always blow. That's like what their history is. They always have this history of like not being able to hold on to games, and they should have. I mean, Tannehill was good in the fourth quarter and overtime in that game, but that was a game that I would say that the Chargers would need. Yeah. You got to feel like you got to win that game if you're the Chargers to go 0-2 now. That's a tough road to get over now in the AFC. That's pretty tough.
Well, for me, when you're talking about the topic that you were asking me about, I think the Bengals is the biggest surprise to me.
Yeah.
I mean,
Joe Burrow, and they haven't even looked good.
No, not at all. Not for a team that's been to the Super Bowl and championship. Like it's awful. Not.
And Burrow's limping off at the end too. I don't know if you saw that. He's kind of limping. Like that's not good. Like that. No. I mean, like now Jimmy was not having that yesterday. He was pretty. You could tell he was pretty frustrated by that game. Thankfully, Adams looks like he's good to go next week for the Raiders. We need him. That's Sunday night. Steelers at Las Vegas. Right now, we got the Saints. They ended up beating the Panthers tonight on Monday night, and then you got the Browns that just took the lead a little bit ago against the Steelers, and they're in the middle of the third quarter right now, 22-19. So Derek Carr does go 2-0. They win 20-17, but I don't know. It's still like I said. Give me some time on Carr. Like we said, they beat the Titans by 1. They beat the Panthers by 3. Let's see. Give me a little bit more time on it. I don't even know if he didn't look that great tonight in the game. Threw a terrible pick earlier in it. They do always start slow. That's why it surprised me last year. But most teams that start 0-2 don't end up finishing as well as the Bengals did last year. But the Bengals do have the talent to be able to overcome that. But yeah, Case. No, I was just saying, like, to me that was kind of a shocker too. Like Carr up 2-0. I didn't want the Saints to do it. I wanted John's Falcons to have the early division league. I did want them to go up 2-0. I did pick them to win the division, put money on them to win the division. So I'm really hoping they get it. And like I said, Bijan, just everything about him looks like a stud as a running back. We talked about our best running backs of all time there with it. Hey, as we kind of wrap up the show here, just in Brian's sake, because Brian, we had to cut you off yesterday because my power went out. Brian's NBA story of the week. Is that cheap enough? Is that how we do that right here? No. So Brian, NBA story week of the week. Damian Lillard still wants a trade request. There you go. That was Brian's request with it. What a shocker there with it. He wants it. Casey, winners and losers of the week. Who do you got, man? Special Monday night edition. Tyler had to leave a little bit earlier. He just texted me. But with that said, appreciate you being able to jump on with here. Fatboy FadeAway 152 part 2. Appreciate John C. Wood joining us. We had Chris from New York on, a couple others here joining us. So always great to have people tune in here on Fatboy FadeAway Sports. Winners and losers of the week. Kind of a late edition here on Monday night. Who do you got?
I got Desmond Ridder from the Falcons.
For loser or winner?
Winner.
All right.
Came up clutch. Made some big plays. You can tell the young man's making some progress, dude.
Dude, I should have had you on talking on the gridiron last night. You would have had like 2 people like down your throat. They would have been pissed. Like a lot of people don't believe in them.
Well, I mean, shoot. That's what happens when you only get like a taste, man. You got to eat the full cup of ice cream to actually tell how it is. You have a taste. It gets better sometimes, Got to let it melt, marinate. Sometimes you put those toppings, get a little bit extra flavor on there, man. Just got to, sometimes, get better as it goes on. So I think they got some. That's just me.
Well, obviously you got a Falcon tuning in here, so they're not going to disagree with you on that one. He did look. That's my thing. Is like, does your team get W's? Does your team get W's? Right?
Yeah.
That's why, like with Jimmy G, like Brian was killing me. He's like, you see what he's got. You see what he did yesterday. I'm like, okay, he had that bad pick, but the Raiders front 7 was absolutely, when I say murdered, I mean murdered. And then when you have then you have the back line there. I mean, they had no chance. I mean, the defense and the Bills defense could play certain things. They were without Myers as their second quarterback. Let's get I'm not going to kill Jimmy G over that. Like Jimmy G does what he does. I think Ritter has some of those same Jimmy G qualities, and I don't think that's necessarily a big thing, that big of a deal. We got C Wood saying Ritter's a good one. He did play well with it. Got to watch the entire game, not highlights. And that's the thing. When you watch Ritter highlights, Casey, you do miss out on some of these like third. People always underrate third down conversions
and effort plays, trying to go for it, not sliding on 3rd and 1. Trying to get the first down, being aggressive, being like a quarterback that actually shows he wants to be a winner. And like that's the thing is like come back, win 25-24, I believe the score was, but he didn't get turned off by the touchdown that was not a touchdown by Max Hollins. I think in the back of the end zone, looked like he toe tapped in the back, throw their play, and then. To me, though, it's like you see the progression. I've been pretty right on these quarterbacks today, like Jalen Hurts. I said Donovan McNabb 2.0. Justin Fields going to be a beast. So I mean, like, anytime you have qualities that are like you're going to be a winner, and it's like not just like on your athletic ability, it's like how you portray yourself in the locker room. Can you carry men, not young men, and like show up and work hard and do your due diligence and be ready and prep for the game? I mean, that goes a lot, man. If you're in your young 20s and these guys are in their late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, late 30s, I mean, these are grown men. They know if you want it or not.
It'll be interesting with Robinson now as his like kind of the guy now. What we get with it, what's going to happen with that from that standpoint. I don't know. Like we'll see if can they develop that rapport as quarterback, running back? Because if they are, right, that's a pretty deadly. And he has Drake London there as his wide receiver. Seawood tuning in with a guy that you used to love as well. You didn't bring him up, but you were a fan of Mayfield at the time. He does have the Bucs 2-0. That's a pretty good winner of the week as well. Right now they have 3 teams in the NFC South that have that are 2-0. I would not. I mean, obviously the Panthers are 0-2, but they have 3 teams 2-0. That's pretty surprising. That definitely winner of the week, the NFC South for sure too.
Sure, no doubt.
Mike Evans, he's no slouch at wide receiver, so Mayfield has weapons.
Yeah, Mike Evans is
he's no slouch. He's no bum.
Does his thing. He's too big. Yeah, he just is, man. It's like he's been doing it since
hit the weight room against Mike Evans.
You can't guard it. 6'4", 5, just
he'd be David Boston on steroids. If he did steroids, he'd be David Boston. That's what I always feel like. If he did steroids, he'd be David Boston. That guy, David Boston, was a freak. I mean, that guy, you look at him as wide receiver. My gosh.
Ridiculous.
I feel like he was the guy. That's a good call, Case. Desmond Ritter there. Doesn't get much love, so that's a good shout out there. A little Ole Miss action there. You're right. Intangibles. That's the key to quarterback play with it. Mayfield gets off to the start as well. I had for winner of the week. I had Sac State beating Stanford. That was my win. My Sacramento State. Who would have thought beat Stanford, a Pac-12 school, or now ACC school, whatever the heck they are now. Little Sacramento State, where our sister went to college, they end up beating Stanford. Unbelievable. Stanford, you have fallen down quite hard here over the years, my folks. At least Cal, though, 2-1. They have a better record than Stanford. They played Auburn tough. I'll at least give them that. Case, you got a loser of the week?
The loser of the year. It's always the A's. The
A's.
Terrible.
John Fisher, sell the team. Get the job done. Sell the team. Do the job. Sell the team. That's the key. Don't ever. 46 wins. Unbelievable. How about Matt Elson? It's 52. Does he have 53 home runs now? The A's could have had that. That would have been nice to have in your lineup. 53 dingers. That would have been nice.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if Sac State made the ACC based on like a game? They're like, all right, if we beat you, we get to go to the ACC and not you. And like, Sac State is in the ACC. Unbelievable. They're playing. Our sister graduated at Arco Arena, Sac State. That's what we're talking about. That's the team they lost to. You can't be losing that for a loser of the week there. Sorry, Gaze, go ahead.
Nah, I was just saying, just the A's in general, man. Oakland really. Actually, you know what? I want to double down on this. So not just the A's, but the city of Oakland. There's a tax refund to every state, every city. California, San Jose got 17 million. San Jose got 9 million. Oakland, you know how much they got, D?
How much?
0, because they didn't get the forms in time. That is my loser all-time week. You did not work, so your city got $0.
You didn't get the forms in time.
He went from $5 to $20 million, and you got 0. And then I go, well, maybe that's why everyone's leaving Oakland now.
Can I ask you about I thought the T.O. Stephen A. thing was kind of a funny loser of the week, where T.O. and Stephen A. were getting into a little beef over there online, and just you had to follow it up. I thought that was funny. A little winner of the week, we forgot The Rock. We said he was back. We did mention that as well for loser of the week, maybe loser of the year as well. Porter Jr. from the Rockets. Seawood, if you're out there, I know you don't want him probably on your team anymore. Definitely loser of the year. He'll be in jail here shortly. So definitely gets loser of the week on that. And then, like I said, this is not the same as Porter Jr., but Raiders. I'm just going to say, you in the NFL, you're allowed to not count the 8 Mississippi. You can rush the quarterback before that. You don't have to wait to the 8 Mississippi. You can go right when they say hike. You're allowed to get the quarterback. Last time I checked, you do not have to wait to get to the 8 dot. So just letting the Raiders defensive line know that for next week's game against the Steelers. I feel like that would be important information to pass on. So that is my loser of the week. For gosh sakes, man, get some pressure on the quarterback. Holy moly, is it that hard to ask as a fan? Through 23 years of no Hall of Fame defensive players, is it that hard to ask? Come on, give me one. And Charles Woodson, I always say this, he left to the Packers and he was better at the Packers. He was better on the Packers, believe it or not, than he was on the Raiders. So it's hard to think that. So, Casey, I appreciate you joining me here on a Monday night, man. Coming in late notice. Tyler, he jumped on with us earlier on the show. The show is even better when I got guys like Seawood, who is just one of my favorites out here in the social media where we met and all this stuff. So hopefully you can get on talking the Gridiron one time, Seawood. I'd love to have you on as well, or even on Fatboy FadeAway. So I really appreciate you tuning in and commenting in. It means a lot, man. And our guy John over at Out of the Falcon Mind. Losers, NFL officiating. They explained how Holland's TD wasn't a TD. Okay, NFL officiating in general is a loser of the week every week because they mix up every call. Playing cornerback in the NFL, I don't even know how that's possible. I don't even know how you play defensive back anymore. I don't even know how that's done anymore. So that's still one of my biggest beefs here when it comes to that. So definitely a good loser of the week is that, as well as the Jackson hit. Hey, how about a winner of the week we did forget? Was that? Did you see the Hail Mary the Broncos pulled off against the Commanders, and then they messed up on the 2-point conversion?
Oh yeah, it was the best.
I mean, that was a crazy Hail Mary because it was like 4 yards short, and they were able to like tip it forward. To me, that was that was kind of an even more of a crazier one than you usually see. So that was kind of an interesting play for the week as well.
This week or last week, but shout out to Coco Gauff, man, youngest champion since Serena Williams. That's pretty dope too.
Yeah,
that's a massive props there. 19 years old. Serena was 18 when she won hers. I believe it was last week, but
that's a good call there. Coco Gauff, U.S. Open champion. Yeah, she was. That's always my favorite tournament to watch. We didn't get a chance to talk about it too much last week because we took a little bit of a second soccer. Definitely, Sean Payne deserves it on that one. As a Saints fan, Coco was on fire too. She wasn't losing those matches in the U.S. Open. It's awesome to see like a U.S. Open. Isn't it better when there's a USA player in the U.S. Open too, going for it as well? It always makes it a hell of a lot better. So there was Ben Shelton played good on the men's side too. So it was good to see him kind of play well. Djokovic, I like people that like Djokovic like mimicking when he won. I guess Shelton like hangs up the phone and Joker went like this, and they kind of looked at each other. And for tennis, I was like, I would love if there was beef in tennis. Like guys hated each other. Would you love that if they went out? They kind of like did not like. Let's go. Come on, let's go. You ready to play? Like, wouldn't you be way more into it?
Oh yeah, if you just hit a tennis ball directly at him on purpose.
I didn't say you have to cheap shot the guy right in the forehead, but I was saying that. So we don't have to do that. But yeah, I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight on on Fatboy FadeAway Sports, episode 152, a rare, and I mean a very rare, part 2, Casey, here for that. So what do you got? One last thing?
I was thinking, like, you know how NFL, when they do the late hits or something like that, you know, just have me thinking, like, out loud. Like, I don't know why I just thought of this, but you know how a guy hits, like, a game winner and turns to the crowd, you know, like a big sack. What if the guy in the tennis court on the opposite side just takes a tennis ball and just serves it to the back?
Yeah, right, that too. Like, yeah, that's what I mean. You start doing like unnecessary cheap shots in tennis. Like, hey, you can't hit that guy in the back as he's walking back there. That would definitely bring a new element to it. But with that said, appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. We're looking forward to episode 153 next week. For Casey Breyer, I'm Darren Breyer, Fatboy FadeAway Sports. Peace.
Bye.
Hey, this is Brandon, CEO of the Variety Sports Network. Thank you again for watching tonight's show. Best way you can support us is by hitting that subscribe button, that like button, and hitting the notifications so you don't miss out on the next show right here on the